that had actually got their independence by the time. And of course, it took another 13 years for Rhodesia to get independence, which of course is the current day Zimbabwe, that time by Comrade Gabriel Robert Mugabe, who just died recently. And I'm only sure that if President Mugabe was actually alive till this day, he would be here to witness, because it was that Commonwealth meeting that happened here in 1967 that pushed, and we just told from the archives that our president of the time, Apollo Milton Obote, did not have any very soft words to the Europeans, especially the British, while demanding for the independence of another African state, Zimbabwe, as you can see. This meeting comes back in Kampala, and of course a number of things that are being talked about. But remember, as we are part of what is happening here, the world all over is actually also going through the other world summits that are happening, especially the UN General Assembly that is also happening at this particular time. But we're here to just be part of this, and of course to let you know of the different things that are happening. Now with me is a guest from Mr. Stuart Macmillan from the Scottish Parliament. You're most welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Jagenda Semakula. You're live on UBC TV. How do you find the meeting so far for the time that you've been in Uganda?
Yeah. It's been very interesting, it's been very helpful, very useful, and it's a great opportunity for the Commonwealth to come together.
Okay. Have you been to Uganda before, or it's your first time in Uganda?
No, first time in Uganda and first time in Africa.
Okay. What have you seen in Uganda that is unique and amazing that you want to take back home?
Well, it rains a lot where I come from, so seeing the sun every single day is something very different. But genuinely, I found the warmth of the people, the friendliness of the people, to be wonderful and a tremendous experience. And I want to thank the people of Uganda for that.
These meetings keep happening every other time. It's in Uganda this year, it will be in another country some other time. But what are these resolutions that you get to, the discussions that you delve into, do you get to implement these things to actually help these countries in the Commonwealth?
Certainly, I'm on the executive committee of the CPA, and one of the main things that we actually want to do is to actually help with the cultural exchange, but also the political exchange, to help politicians learn from other politicians in different parts of the Commonwealth, so we can have courses that are run to improve the outcome and certainly improve the work that politicians undertake across the Commonwealth.
Well, I want to thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. Mr. Macmillan is from the Scottish Parliament, and of course you just heard from him. It is first time in Kampala, Uganda especially, and of course he is part of the 64th meeting that is happening here. Just to let you know that when it happened here in 1967, we were told that only 160 delegates attended that meeting, and we just talk about all this. When you look at the beauty that is actually here, it's just really very amazing, and of course it's another very memorable event for all of us here in Uganda, and of course those who are visiting Uganda for their first time and to be part of what is actually just right happening here. It is a very big meeting, as we can continue to see, and of course to be part of it. And what really amazes is seeing the young ones, because we belong to a continent that has the youngest population, and of course being part of what is happening here is really very energizing, and of course good for them and for the future as we continue to see. Now the countries are coming in slowly and one by one as we build to the opening ceremony, where His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will be officially opening this. Now this meeting has been here happening, and of course they've had a number of sideline meetings, talking about a number of different things, and of course different stuff that is continuing to happen, and we're just waiting to see what really comes out of this. But here is where we are. And I have another delegate here from Malaysia. From Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, or you're from?
I'm a member of Parliament, and our Parliament is in Kuala Lumpur, but I'm also the speaker for the state of Perak, where in Malaysia we have a federalism, so we have state speakers and also national parliamentary speaker.
Okay, so which do you belong to, the national parliament or the provincials?
Yeah. At the parliament level, I'm a member of parliament for my constituency of Boras. While at the state level, I'm the State Legislative Assembly Speaker for the state of Perak.
Okay.
And Dr. Sani is my secretary in the Perak State Assembly.
Okay. In 1967, Malaysia is one of the countries that had the biggest number of delegates that came to this meeting. How many did you come this time round?
This time round, I think, because we have more than 60. I understand about 64 of us. About 11 from the federal level, and there are many more delegates from the respective states. I led 6 of us from the Perak State Assembly, while other states, we have 14 states in Malaysia. So, in fact, so we have delegates from respective states.
Okay. Have you been to Uganda before, and what do you think the outcomes of this conference will actually mean to the Commonwealth states that are participating in this conference?
This is my first visit to Uganda. I'm so happy. It is such a beautiful country. The environment is quite similar to Malaysia. You have greeneries around, your soil is fertile, and the environment is beautiful. Though it may be a little hotter in Malaysia, but all year round we have the sunshine. Uganda is such a colorful country. Your colors and your warmth, we really appreciate your warm welcome.
Do you think that the resolutions of this meeting do actually mean something for, or it's a meeting that you do as a Commonwealth and members of Parliament to maybe fraternize, have an opportunity to travel and be here, or the resolutions will actually mean something to us?
The topics that are discussed in this conference definitely it entails worldwide on climate change, on various topics, on employment of the youth, etc. These are issues that affect the whole world. But obviously, being members of the Commonwealth country, we can capitalize on our history, our friendship, and by this meeting, we can get leaders from the more than 50 world countries in the Commonwealth to get to know each other, and from there, we can even encourage trade, cultural exchange, and move the Commonwealth country to a better future.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for meeting us. And he's from Malaysia, Member of Parliament, and Speaker of the lower parliaments, which of course built to the National Parliament, as you heard from him. Now I have another brother here, from Nigeria, Sokat. I am happy to have you, sir. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. You're live on UBC TV, the national broadcaster. Have you been to Uganda before? Have you been to Uganda before?
No, I have never been.
It is your first time to Uganda?
My first time.
Okay. Do African countries really benefit from these meetings, or it's a meeting that we do possibly to just fraternize and all the things? Do we as Africans benefit much from such meetings like this that is happening here now?
Yeah, exactly. We are going to benefit actually so much. You know, I am a deputy clerk in the House of Representatives. I am here as a SOCAT delegate actually. So, and this kind of interaction actually will enhance the development of the legislature in Africa.
We in Africa have a number of challenges, starting from famine, poverty, corruption, and a number of things that keep happening to us. And do we think that in such forums, we can actually voice out our issues and we possibly get African solutions to our African problems?
Yeah, really, actually, this is a very good opportunity. Like my country now, actually, you know, we are under the threat of banditry, kidnapping, and that kind of insecurity is rampant in my country. But this kind of situation, actually, we will discuss these issues seriously and offer African solution to it.
Actually, just talked about the banditry of the Boko Haram and all the others in your country. Yeah. And how do you voice such an issue here? Because we look from what the thing that you talk about here, climate change, and of course a number of those. but there are those other issues like the insecurity in your country, which is Africa's biggest economy. Recently, you had attacks, xenophobia in South Africa, attacking Nigerians, Malawians, Ugandans, and all these others. And this meeting is happening in Kampala. Do we have an opportunity to voice out those issues that are our own affairs in such forums and, of course, get solutions to them?
Yeah, this is a very good opportunity actually to voice out all those kind of problems we have actually. But then actually, you know, like in the case of Nigeria, on this xenophobia attacks on our Nigerian students in South Africa, I think our government has resolved actually to deal with the issue diplomatically. So I don't know, actually there is no need actually to wash our dirty linens in the public actually. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the back channels, I think they will work on for us.
What has excited you in Uganda this time round? What has excited you in Uganda for the time that you've been here?
No, actually, the scenery is just so beautiful, actually, and the people are very friendly, actually, and I'm enjoying my stay here.
Would you compare anything here to Nigeria for what you've seen, the scenery, the green, the vegetation, the lakes and rivers? Look at the place where we are.
Yeah, really, we don't have this kind of lakes, actually, and as you are aware, our Lake Chad actually is drying up, is shrinking, actually. Even for president, when he went to UN for this climate change something, he was talking about the recharge of the Lake Chad, which actually has disproportionately affected many of our people. Over 40 million people actually benefit from that, but now as it is, it has disappeared actually.
Thank you so much, Honorable Yaro, for joining us here. Honorable Yaro from Nigeria, and of course, he just said something here. When we hear that Lake Chad is actually having problems, then I think we need just preserve our own Lake Victoria, Lake Choga, and of course all the other water bodies that we have in this country to sustain and of course to be able to live with them. I have an observer here also from this very vanguard country called Nigeria, also Africa's most populated nation. You're most welcome. Just come closer to me here, and as an observer, could you please just tell us a bit of this thing that you're observing, and are you so far happy, or you feel the certain things that the certain gaps that need to be filled?
First and foremost, I want to appreciate God Almighty for this wonderful occasion. Honestly, this is the first time I'm coming to such a program, and I want to thank God because it is wonderful. Honestly, the program was wonderful, most especially the election of the women parliamentarians. Honestly, it was superb because I observed it, I was there, and I saw everything to the glory of God. I thank God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's very good. And you said you're coming to Uganda for the very first time. How about Africa, the other African countries? Where have you been?
Yeah, I've been to Ghana. I've been to, well, let me put it, Israel is part of Africa, so that's so far so good. And Cameroon, yeah, I've been there. Okay. I've been there. This is, I'm as an honorable member, this is the first time I'm coming to the parliament as a member of the House of Assembly. So, and this is the first time I'm attending the CPA. Okay.
Yeah. And do you think we have the capacity to actually put our governments to task to implement many of the resolutions that come through such meetings and conferences?
Yes, especially the area of women inclusion in politics. Honestly, the government of Africa as a whole must rise up to that fact to ensure that women are included in the political activities of their nations. This is my cry and plea. Okay. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we now just getting to sing the national anthem, but I just have a delegate here from Australia. You're most welcome. And thank you so much for joining us here on UBC TV. How do you feel being in Uganda? I'm sure you're here for the first time.
Yes, it's been wonderful. It's a beautiful country, and the conference has been really interesting. I'm really looking forward to discussing this really important topic.
Shall we take our seats? We are now going to have the CWP anthem. May I request that we remain standing? Let's resume our seats. Our chief guest, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda and Vice Patron of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, the President of the 64th CPC, the Right Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, His Lordship the Chief Justice, cultural and traditional leaders present here, distinguished members of the Executive Committee of the CPA, the Acting Secretary General of the CPA, distinguished heads of delegations, the Right Honorable visiting speakers, distinguished delegates, distinguished observers, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this singular honor of welcoming you here to Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. You are welcome. It is a norm in this part of the Commonwealth that when there is a very, very important occasion, and there are important, very, very important people, distinguished members of society like you are here. We should not only say welcome, but reinforce our welcome with music, dance, and drama. I would like, therefore, in observance of that norm, to invite Arts for Change to come the stage and indeed give us a welcome of music, dance, and drama. Arts for Change.
Hiya, oh, hiya, Uganda.
Uganda yetu hakuna matata. The children of Africa, we lay our future in thy Tingali what shall we do?
You love me too. Let us practice what we preach. Take a look at what you and I have done. We are creating World War III. Only going against our environment, cutting off the hands that feed us. Yet you can even do this in the right way. Very perfect way. Listen to me, and listen to this carefully. Our issues of the youth are beyond just unemployment. We're the pillars of strength, the wheels that drive you to the future. We are strong, creative, and enthusiastic. Engaging us at the center of development is only good, but also fine for governance. We are speaking this. We are so happy that the British Empire is no more. 53 countries with diversity, all together under Commonwealth. Bound by the single bond of love and speaking the same voice of prosperity. This unity is put to bed. Let us embark on engaging people with disabilities and women in development. Our oneness can only be seen by our positive actions towards what we want to achieve in our societies. Oh, I had forgotten to remind you this. Once again, plant a tree and save the environment.
Katukole tutya okuneeteya n'enjala
katukole
Thank you very much, Arts for Change. The music, dance, and drama have illustrated one thing, that all members of the Commonwealth share one common tradition. As we welcome you, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me, at this moment, again call you to a video, part of the welcoming repertoire. The video, please.
Uganda, the land famously described by Sir Winston Churchill as the Pearl of Africa. A country whose governance is underpinned by the rule of law, democratic institutions, and leadership determined by free and regular elections. Uganda is privileged to once again host members of the Commonwealth, this time the 64th edition of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference.
It gives me great honor, fellow Ugandans and our visitors, to welcome speakers and deputy speakers of parliament, members of parliament, and distinguished delegates to Uganda for the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference. Uganda acknowledges the contribution of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and indeed of women parliamentarians in advancing good governance and ensuring effective parliaments. In their representative, legislative, and oversight roles, parliaments are key in the growth and development of a nation. Indeed, your theme augurs well with a parliament that aspires to be people-centered. I wish you happy deliberations.
Uganda is a culturally diverse nation with over 50 ethnic groups coexisting in peace and harmony. Lush, green, and sitting astride the equator, Uganda, your host for 2019, has topped the CNN's 2019 ranking as the world's top tourist destination. The country's teeming wildlife in 10 national parks awaits your viewing and pleasure. You will also find a rich bird life that has earned Uganda the reputation of a leading birding destination for rarely seen species. For the lovers of nature, the country abounds with numerous lakes. The Nile, Africa's longest river, begins its journey to Egypt and the Mediterranean here. You will get to find natural tourist attractions like the Kagulu Hills and the Renzoris, the only snow-capped mountain at the equator. Local culinary delights made out of a rich variety of foods awaits your pleasure. Try out the globally acclaimed Rolex. Right Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga is the Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda and the President-designate of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. A lawyer by profession, she is a passionate crusader for women's rights and gender equity.
On this occasion of the 64th CPC conference, I want to welcome very, very warmly the delegates from Africa, from Asia, from Southeast Asia, India, Canada, Australia, the British Islands and Mediterranean, the Caribbean and Atlantic, the Pacific. I want to welcome all of you to Kampala and to Uganda, which has been described as the Pearl of Africa. In 1907, Sir Winston Churchill, then Secretary of State for the Colonies, came to Uganda. He was so enchanted by its beauty, by its people, by its greenery, by the birds, the beasts and the insects, that he named it the Pearl of Africa. So I welcome you to the Pearl of Africa. We are meeting 50 years after the last CPC conference in 1967. At that time we had a smaller population, fewer industries, fewer roads, tarmac roads, limited supply of power, and so on. But as you come today, would like to confirm that the population has grown to about 40 million people. There's a lot of improvement in the infrastructure. We have good roads from one end of the country to the other. We also have opportunities for investment in oil, in minerals, in agribusiness, and tourism. The potential is very, very high.
Uganda is a rapidly developing country with a growing network of modern transport infrastructure to get business done efficiently and to get you to any destination in the country and the region smoothly. A variety of hotel accommodation is readily available in the country to cater for your needs. And while in Kampala, it's not all work and no play. A vibrant nightlife awaits your pleasure. A flourishing industrial and business sector empowering the economy and supplying the region and offering vast potential and investment opportunities. Uganda has a huge agricultural potential, able to feed the nation and become the food basket for East Africa and the Great Lakes region. While here, you don't have to worry about being in touch. A modern telecommunications sector and the 4G experience will ensure that anywhere in the country. Welcome to Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, the land where you can stand astride the northern and southern hemisphere in one go.
I wish you successful deliberations. I do hope that you'll have time to see a lot more of the country outside the capital. Welcome.
You're welcome indeed. After that welcome, it is now my honor to invite the President of the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, who is no other than Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, to speak to this august assembly. Right Honorable.
Your Excellency, President Yoweri Museveni, President of Uganda, Your Excellency the Vice President, Mr. Edward Sekandi, the distinguished speakers, deputy speakers, presidents of the Senate, deputy presidents, CP International Chair, Right Honorable Ifaka, who is also Deputy Speaker of Cameroon, Right Honorable Farugia, Chair of the Small Branches and Speaker of Malta, Honorable Noraini Ahmed, Chair of the CWP, members of the Cabinet, members of all the delegations, all our invited guests, the clerks, the staff, the spouses and the accompanying persons. On behalf of the Uganda Parliament, I welcome you most warmly to Uganda. We are delighted to host this meeting again. We were last here in 1967 the fact that it has taken 52 years to host the conference again might reflect the struggles Uganda's fledgling democracy faced in the past. But those days are behind us. We have since evolved to become a reliable member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and we attend both regional and international activities. We are happy that we are chosen to host this landmark event. I therefore welcome the members of the national, the state, provincial, and territorial legislatures who are here. We're all here as brothers and sisters with equal say in this body, regardless of size or economic strength. But having said this, I note with sadness the absence of one of our members, the delegation of the Bahamas, who suffered disastrous hurricane, leading to loss of hundreds of lives, and for that reason they are not able to attend this meeting. I request that we stand up for a moment of silence in honor of the victims of that disaster. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Please take your seats. Distinguished guests, in a special way, I would like to appreciate our president, who is also the deputy patron of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, His Excellency Mr. Museveni. He has been a reliable partner to the Uganda Parliament because we have been able to host the CPA Africa region here in Uganda, the Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers in Uganda, the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians also came to Uganda, the 4th CPA Africa Youth Conference last year, but we are happy that we also hosted the Head of State Summit in 2007. We want to thank the CPA Uganda branch and the Secretariat in London for the logistical and advisory support in the months leading up to this event. I want to report that the Uganda branch members and the Secretariat have worked tirelessly to ensure that everything is in order, and I want to thank them publicly for their efforts. I want to congratulate the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians on marking 30 years of great work, of raising voices of concern or to positions of authority. I want to thank you for fostering gender mainstreaming within the membership and in our legislatures. This is important because the last time CPC convened here, CWP was not in existence. And I would like to inform the delegates that as part of our history, we have made available pullouts of the 1967 conference. I believe delegates might be interested to know what your representatives then said during the 13th CPC conference. Fellow delegates, the theme of this year is adaptation, engagement, and evolution of parliaments in a rapidly changing Commonwealth. A lot is changing in our nations, from the demographic characteristics to the diversities of race, belief, and people's needs. There's a growing focus on greater scrutiny of parliamentarians, a demand for accountability and transparency. At the same time, the public trust in parliaments is flagging in most countries, yet the people expect more from their representatives. It's not only the Commonwealth that is changing rapidly. One just has to watch the news to see the rest of the world experiencing severe tremors. Globalization, international borders increasingly seeming like mere demarcations. The challenges which we face are enormous. We are faced by many threats which do not know the color of our skin, our creeds, our level of poverty, our wealth, or political affiliations. Some of the major issues we are forced to contend with are climate change, individual and group terrorism, hunger and malnutrition, old and new disease epidemics, local and regional conflicts, rising frequency and cost of natural and man-made disasters. These threaten the present and future well-being of our citizens. We should also not forget the ever-growing number of refugees, displaced persons, stateless persons in our continent. As parliamentarians, we are the bridge between the government and the people. The people rely on us to speak for them,
to plan for them a future that is better than the present. Therefore, we are awakened as representatives to wake up, to handle that role, to address the challenges that we face. We have workshop roundtables, TD talk, and mentoring sessions will give us opportunity to reflect on how we tackle these problems. How do we maximize our core functions of representation, legislation, oversight, and budget appropriation? Our mandate places us at the center of finding solutions that work and translating promises, plans, strategies, and laws into action. One of our assignments as Parliament is achievement of the UN Agenda 2030. We expected to promote, to plan for, and monitor the effective implementation of the SDGs. Most of the discussions during this conference will touch on the SDGs. I know that most Commonwealth parliaments have updated their processes and missions to match this agenda, and it will be exciting to learn from one another's experience. We also have discussed the issue of rapid unplanned urbanization, the terrorism, the efficacy of parliament, interventions of climate change, science and technology, and innovation that enable parliament to work smarter choices in facilitating our work. We also need to address the issue of people with disabilities, their place in politics and in society, as well as sexual harassment in the legislatures. We shall discuss the updated CPA recommended benchmarks for democratic legislatures, and this will help us strengthen our current commitments to the SDGs. Following the good example we saw in Bangladesh in 2017, we shall also have the Youth Roundtable here. We seek to include young people in decision-making, mentor future leaders of the Commonwealth. They will discuss strategies to deal with unemployment, in addition to sharpening their debating skills and building networks with one another. Through all these deliberations, I urge us to share our key lessons, pick up the best practices to assist one another. Let us remember that as one of the oldest established organizations in the Commonwealth, the CPA will continue to be an invaluable player in the world's efforts to create a better today and better tomorrow for us all. Honourable members, a lot of work has gone in the last few years in Uganda preparing for this 64th CPC. I take this opportunity to thank you, Mr. President, for the overall security and safety. I thank the members of the armed forces under the command of the Chief of Defense Forces. I thank the police officers under the command of the Inspector General of Police. I thank the Director General of Internal and External Security, the Clerk to Parliament, and the staff. And I commend further the tremendous work that the members of Parliament through all the committees that have brought us to where we are today. I invite you to enjoy your stay in Uganda. Again, I call on you to make time to see other parts of the country, but also to invite you to our market here at the Convention Center. There are many things that you can get. You don't need to go to the city. You can start here at the market. Thank you and welcome again.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda. As she resumes her seat, let me at this moment now invite the Acting Secretary General of the CPA to talk to this distinguished conference. The Acting Secretary General, please.
Gambaji. His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda and Vice Patron of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Honorable Emilia Monjoa Lifaka, CPA Chairperson and Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Cameroon, CPA President-designate, the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, MP, Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, Honorable CPA officers and regional representatives of the Executive Committee, distinguished presiding officers, parliamentarians, clerks, members of the Diplomatic Corps and Press Corps, traditional leaders that are here with us this morning, other observers and representatives of international organizations present here today, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on the authority given to me by the Executive Committee at its meeting here in Kampala on 24 and 25 September 2019, I stand before you to represent the Secretary General who is not able to join us here today. Allow me to thank the Honorable Kadaga. I want to place on record our thanks and appreciation to His Excellency Yoweri Museveni for gracing this event this morning, for taking time from his busy schedule and to honor us with his presence this morning. In the same vein, I want to extend our thanks to our host, the Speaker of Uganda of Parliament, Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, who is also CPA President-designate. Also want, through the Speaker, to thank Honorable Bintu Lukumu Jalia, the Chairperson of Uganda Branch CPA Executive Committee, and the Clerk of Parliament, Mrs. Jane Kibirige, and her team for the excellence, arrangements, and warm hospitality accorded to the delegates since their arrival in Uganda. Allow me, on behalf of the CPA, to extend a hearty welcome to you on this auspicious occasion of the official opening of the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, whose theme is Adaptation, Engagement, and Evolution of Parliaments in a Rapidly Changing Commonwealth. Your Excellency, honorable members, the host branch has worked so tirelessly preparing for this conference and ensuring that all logistical and administrative arrangements were in place so that we have a successful conference in these next 2 days. Indeed, it has been a total pleasure to enjoy the warm hospitality of the people of Uganda, popularly known as the Pearl of Africa. The CPA would like to thank the host for everything that they have done since our arrival. The CPC was here, as has been mentioned earlier, 52 years ago. So this conference is a significant moment in the history of Uganda, as well as in the history of the CPA itself. Your Excellency, honorable members, the CPA is a force for good on democracy, good governance, and development. It represents and connects national and provincial assemblies, presidential and Westminster systems, unitary and federal states, large and small nations. The diversity of the Commonwealth is clearly shown in the makeup of the CPA in terms of ideas and composition and other setup. The CPA develops and supports its members and parliamentarian staff to promote knowledge and best practices in enhancing the work of parliaments. Through its activities, the CPA reaches out to its members to support the implementation of programs aimed at upskilling its members and staff in order to strengthen the institution of parliament and democratic governance. At this conference, we will be launching online programs for staff, which were developed jointly with King's College of UK and McGill University of Canada. As you can see, this is very much in line with the theme of this conference, adaptation, engagement, and evolution of parliaments in a rapidly changing Commonwealth. As part of benchmarking in 2006, the CPA developed the benchmarks for democratic legislatures. These benchmarks reinforce the belief that effective parliaments are one of the principal institutions of any functioning democracy and provide a minimum standard and guide on how a parliament should be constituted and how it should function in line with the values and principles contained in the Commonwealth Charter, which all our nations signed to. Your Excellency, honorable members, the CPA also enables its members to exchange views, make connections, deepen understanding for such conversations to take place. In the next day or two, we will be conducting 10 workshop sessions as part of the Learning and Development Program as endorsed by the Parliamentary Conference, which was held in Dhaka, Bangladesh in November 2017. Your Excellency, honorable members, Commonwealth heads of government have recognized that parliaments and legislatures are essential pillars of democratic governance and have endorsed the efforts and initiatives of the CPA as the parliamentary partner of the Commonwealth governmental and non-governmental sectors. Within the Commonwealth family, we all commit ourselves to shared values and principles, and these shape both our collective goals and our collective responsibility in pursuing development. These include free and fair elections, human rights, the rule of law, separation of powers, respect and understanding, deep-rooted in the Commonwealth approach as contained in the Commonwealth Charter. That is what Commonwealth conferences like this are all about. Indeed, parliamentary links forged and continually strengthened through the work of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association over many decades can be seen as among the most powerful practical illustration of the Commonwealth nations joining together freely and voluntarily in enduring relationship. As I conclude, Your Excellency and honorable members, allow me to thank sincerely the CPA chairperson, the coordinating committee, the CPA executive committee, and of course my colleagues at the CPA HQ Secretariat who worked so hard collaboratively with the staff of Uganda Parliament in preparing for this conference. I wish you well and thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, the Acting Secretary General of the CPA. May I now invite the Chairperson of the Executive Committee of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Honorable Emilia Monjoa Lifaka, Deputy Speaker of Cameroon. You're welcome.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Vice Patron of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable President of the 64th CPC and Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, the Honorable Speakers and presiding officers here present, honorable members of government, the CWP president, the CWP chairperson, the small branches chairperson, members of the diplomatic corps, dear colleagues, heads of delegations, the acting CPA Secretary General at this conference, all protocol duly observed, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Hujambo, good morning. It is for me a great pleasure and honor to address these eminent personalities, delegates, and participants assembled here in Kampala, Uganda, land of agriculture, the land of the equator, and land of the Great Lake for the opening ceremony of the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference. Before I proceed, permit me to use this opportunity offered me to convey to Your Excellency Yoweri Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda and Vice Patron, on behalf of the entire CPA family, our sincere thanks and gratitude for taking time off your very busy schedule to be personally present here today alongside eminent personalities accompanying you to officiate in the official opening ceremony of the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference taking place in Kampala, Uganda. Your Excellency, your presence here today is a proof of your commitment to the core values of the CPA. Mr. President, let me, on behalf of all of us gathered here today, tell you about some of the things that has taken place in Kampala since we arrived. Mr. President, we have been very well taken care of. Mr. President, the logistical arrangements which was put in place to give this event the grandeur it deserves has been exceptional. Mr. President, your country is beautiful. Your people are hospitable. Mr. President, Speaker Kadaga has been a wonderful host under your guidance. Your Excellency, my colleagues, and the accompanying delegations have asked me to tell you thank you, and that we, the CPA delegates, are saying we came, we saw, and we are going to be honorary ambassadors of Uganda when we leave here. We thank you once more for agreeing to host this 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference in Kampala. With your permission, Your Excellency, permit me say thank you to this great Uganda woman called Rebecca Kadaga, from whom many of us have drawn inspiration. When she entered the room, she did not close the door behind her. She left the door wide open. Many of us have come in, we have entered, and there is still more space for women. Her strength and willingness to do so much come undoubtedly from your encouragement and goodwill of your government to encourage women and young girls to be at the forefront of decision-making in your country. We all know there cannot be any meaningful development without the involvement of women. Speaker Kadaga, I wish to thank you for being an inspiration to the younger generation of aspiring female politicians, and also thank you and your team for being there for us since we arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, We are delighted to be here and do request that you all join me to congratulate the government and Parliament of Uganda for the excellent organization. Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are attending this event for their very first time, may I briefly say that the CPA, which was founded in 1911, comprises some 180 national and subnational branches and seeks to promote the advancement of parliamentary democracy by enhancing knowledge and the understanding of democratic governance. The CPA connects, develops, promotes, and supports parliamentarians and their staff to identify benchmarks of good governance and the implementation of the enduring values of the Commonwealth. CPA activities focuses on the Commonwealth commitment to its fundamental political values, including just and honest government, the alleviation of poverty, fundamental human rights, international peace and order, global economic development, the rule of law, equal rights and representation for all citizens of both gender, the separation of powers amongst the three branches of government, and the right to participate in free and fair democratic elections. You must have noted from our detailed program that this conference is placed under the theme Adaptation, Engagement and Evolution of Parliaments in a Rapidly Changing Commonwealth. The conference will also address other topical issues in workshops: climate change achievements, challenges and efficacy of Parliament intervention, innovation in Parliament, the impact of science and technology on how Parliament works today, the role of Parliament in facilitating persons with disability as electors, candidates, legislatures, strategies to deal with youth employment, innovation in Parliament. The possible effects of the United Kingdom Brexit on small branches, fostering a culture of respect, fairness, and dignity. Sexual harassment has no place in legislatures, amongst others. You will agree with me that the provision of appropriate solutions to the aforementioned issues which significantly contribute in solving some of the world's most challenging problems. This conference, therefore, is of utmost importance as the world is anxiously waiting for its outcome. May I urge delegates and participants to make significant and constructive inputs that will meet our expectations and take the CPA and the entire world forward. On this note, I once more thank His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, for coming to open this conference, and I wish participants a fruitful deliberation. Long live the Republic of Uganda, long live the CPA, long live the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, long live the Commonwealth of Nations and the strong bond we share, which is our unity in diversity. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much indeed. It is, I think, befitting now at this moment, after we have had all those piles of words liberally broadcast in this conference hall since the beginning, we should now be entertained. We should be entertained. May I now call upon the Rockies to give us one short piece of entertainment. Rockies.
My first 4G smartphone from Airtel is back. It's bigger, better, and comes with 5 GB free data per month for 3 months. At only 200,000 Uganda shillings, enjoy fantastic features on the phone, like the face unlock feature, long battery life. Mwana, ka volume keko. Live your life in 4G with my first 4G smartphone at only 200,000 Uganda shillings and get free 5 GB data every month for 3 months. Visit the nearest Airtel shop, dial *175*9# to enjoy free data. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Three. What's up with number 3? It's 3 at Airtel and not 4 anymore. It's 3 shillings per second across all networks in Uganda.
Make calls from Airtel to all networks at 3 shillings per second. Get to talk to anyone on any network anytime at 3 shillings per second. Tuanzi Soze!
Airtel, the smartphone network. Airtel is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rockies. Next, just a very short piece. Let me invite the Super Egos. Super Egos, please, take the stage. Okay, Super Eagles, we would like to thank you, Super Eagles, for that wonderful performance. Thank you very much, Super Eagles, for that wonderful performance. It has drawn to the stage distinguished members of Parliament. This is called the La Caracca dance. It is a courtship dance, normally danced by young people in the process of finding life partners. Thank you very much, Super Eagles. Now, we are moving to the climax of our stay here this morning. It is now my singular honor to invite the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, who in turn will invite our chief guest, His Excellency, the President of Uganda.
Distinguished guests, it is a tradition during the CPA meetings for the patron or her representative to address you before the official opening. It's now my pleasure to invite the Deputy Patron, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, to bring you the Queen's message and then address the House and open the conference. Thank you.
Sit down, please. Sit down, please. His Excellency, the Vice President of Uganda, Excellency Edward Sekandi, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, of Uganda, Rebecca Kadaga, and the President-designate of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, distinguished Right Honorable Speakers and heads of delegations from all the CPA regions, the Vice Chairman of the NRM Party, Haji Chigongo, all parliamentarians here, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. My first assignment is to read to the conference the message of Her Majesty the Queen of the United Kingdom, and also the patron of the CPA. As you heard that I'm now vice chairperson. As patron of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, I am pleased to send my best wishes to you and all the delegates present at the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, which is being held in Uganda this week. I note with interest that the theme for the discussion taking place this year is, in quotes, adaptation, engagement, and evolution in a rapidly changing Commonwealth. End of quote. Is memorable and productive. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the United Kingdom and head of the Commonwealth. This letter, this message, is written to somebody called Mr. Akbar Khan. I don't know whether he's here. Secretary General. Or is not here. This is the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. The other person you had, the Malawian. Is this Malawian? Malawian, you stand up. That man is deputizing for Akbar Khan, who from the name must be a Pakistani, my suspicion. So my job number one is finished. Thank you very much. Protocol has already been observed. On behalf of the people of Uganda, I welcome you, the members of the CPA, again to Uganda. You're most welcome. I say that I welcome you to Uganda again because I was very much here when you were here last 52 years ago. I was not in the meeting themselves. I was, however, 23 years old that time, a first-year student in the University of Dar es Salaam, and already a very active student leader, leading the University Students' African Revolutionary Front, USAF. The meeting must have taken place during the short holiday, because I remember I was in Uganda and not in Dar es Salaam. I normally tell my young party members, members of our political party, that what they call history, I call current affairs. Hence, while for many of you, the meeting that took place here 52 years ago is history, for me, it is current affairs, because I was there. I would like to recognize the support of Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen of the United Kingdom, who is the patron of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, CPC. Let me appreciate the CPA chairperson, the Honorable Emilia Monjoa Lifaka. That powerful woman whom you heard speaking there, from the Cameroon. And the CPA Secretary General, Mr. Akbar Khan, the one who is not here. I thank you all for the invitation to speak to you today. The host speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, has been doing a lot in our country and through the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association networks over the years. These efforts must be the reason we are hosting the CPC in Kampala today. I congratulate her, the members of Parliament, and the Uganda Secretariat of the CPA for successfully organizing this conference, and I appreciate their hard work. The newspapers in Uganda have been reminding us that the two controversial issues of that time, 1967, were, number one, the regime of Ian Smith in Rhodesia and the United Kingdom joining the European Union and abandoning the Commonwealth special economic arrangements. Since that time, the issue of Rhodesia was unilaterally resolved by Africa through war of liberation executed by ZANU and ZAPU, supported by Africa and the socialist countries. So that issue is no longer on the agenda. It was resolved. It is good that the British government under Margaret Thatcher came in last minute to facilitate the transition with Lord Solms and those other arrangements. The issue of the UK membership in the European Union is of course back in the news with Brexit. The people of the UK, through their internal processes, have the capacity to direct the destiny of that country, so we don't have to worry about them. When I met Her Majesty the Queen in 1987, I told her that the Commonwealth was an association of great potential. With a population of 2.4 billion people, it is the only international organization that I attend, and I do not have to put up with the inconvenience of translation through earphones. Even the African Union, when I go there, I must plug things in my ears to hear what the other people are saying. But here you had me listening to the Cameroonian, to the Malawian, the Maltese, the Malaysian lady here. I am able to talk with them directly through the English language, not through interpreters. That's a big advantage. We can communicate directly through the use of the English language. This is a phenomenon of great potential if properly used. We could cooperate in security, investments, culture, and governance. Can we revive the preferential trade arrangements? That's the question I am putting to you. Here in Africa, we are now committed to the continental free trade area, to something that we call COMESA, the Common Market of Southern Africa, and to the East African community. You heard us playing 3 anthems. One was for Uganda, the other one is for East Africa, and the third one was for the United Kingdom. And we played the anthem of East Africa because the destiny of East Africa is together. So what preferential commercial arrangements could Africa have with the UK, with France, or with Portugal? Because these were the ones which were formerly colonial powers here. Of course, we have some arrangements with the European Union that includes France. Maybe we could have arrangements with the UK, even when they are out of the EU, as well as with the other Commonwealth countries, such as India, Canada, Australia, Pakistan, etc. But we would have to have arrangement with them as the Continental Free Trade Area, CFTA, of Africa, the whole of Africa, not portions of it. However, unfortunately, much of this potential is clouded by ideological distortion, disorientation, bigotry, egocentrism, and myopia. A lot of time and energy is spent on the enterprise of some groups trying to control the destiny of other people. This is wrong and unnecessary. History is our good teacher on this. Man has been here for the last 4.5 million years, ever since we evolved as wise primates known as Homo sapiens sapiens from the earlier species. Right from the beginning, the problems facing man were two: oppression of man by nature and oppression of man by fellow men. Oppression of man by nature involved floods, drought, disease, landslides, wild beasts, darkness, cold, etc., etc. Oppression of man by man involved slavery, colonialism, neocolonialism, fascism, etc. In a recent speech in Japan, I pointed out that for much of the human history, man could not ably tame nature on account of the limited knowledge by man as far as the scientific laws were concerned. Gradually, however, man invented fire around 1.5 million years ago, started domesticating crops around 10,000 BC, before Christ, started domesticating livestock around the same time, and invented iron tools around 1,200 BC. Nevertheless, even with these advances, man continued to rely on human muscle and the muscle of beasts. Human muscle involved the use of the hand hoe, blacksmithing, what we call in our language, abawesi, carpentry, clay work, etc. And beast muscle involved the use of donkeys, camels, and horses. This use of human and beast muscle meant low quantities of production and low speeds in terms of activity. However, in the year 1438, Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press. In the year 1698, Thomas Savery invented the steam engine for pumping water, and in the year 1823, George Stephenson converted the steam engine to the task of pulling railway engines. This constituted the first industrial revolution. Since that time, portions of humanity have been through the second and the third industrial revolutions. On account of some historical events, mainly precipitated by the internal weaknesses of Africa, and also on account of external greed during the period when some portions of the humanity were being emancipated from the reliance on human and beast muscle power, Africa was in the throes of the slave trade, colonialism, and neocolonialism. Therefore, Africa largely missed out. Nevertheless, by a combination of factors, Africa, along with other colonized peoples in India, Indonesia, Indochina, Pakistan, etc., shook off the shackles of colonialism and regained freedom, the last being South Africa, which regained their freedom in 1994. Now that colonialism has been defeated, our advice to friends is that egocentrism, greed, and bigotry should be banished so that we use the enhanced scientific knowledge of man to cause the universal well-being of the whole of humanity without exception. Unfortunately, greed continues to obstruct the mutually beneficial interaction within the different portions of the human race and to block the optimum use of scientific knowledge for the universal benefit of man as a whole. Artificial conflicts propelled by greed or ignorance always cause avoidable losses and waste time. This greed and ignorance obscure the facts and impede human cooperation. The other night, on the 24th of September, at the reception of the Chinese embassy, I pointed out that Karl Marx, in 1848, pointed out that up to that time, in the 4.5 million years of human existence here on Earth, man had gone through 4 social systems. And these were the primitive communalism system, some of it still being practiced in some forest-dwelling groups, but by some forest-dwelling groups in Africa and the Amazon forest. The slave state, like the ancient Rome, feudalism, and capitalism. Of the 4 social systems witnessed by man up to that time, the only rational ones were the primitive communal system and the capitalist system. The slave system and the feudal systems were restrictive, exploitative, and irrational. Capitalism, by emphasizing the minimization of costs in order to maximize profits, brought rationalization into the production process. Also, by rewarding initiatives, it unleashed the productivity of society. In recent times, you have seen how people like Bill Gates of Microsoft and Zuckerberg of Facebook, through introducing new technologies, have both built up a lot of wealth, but also empowered society more. This has been the story of capitalism in the last 300 years in some parts of the globe. Innovation, specialization, and exchange. By 1929, however, an irrationality had already been detected in capitalism. Maximization of profits meant minimization of costs, which at that time included minimization of wages also. Low wages meant also low purchasing power. Low purchasing power meant low demand for the products of capitalism. The capitalist efficiency in production of goods and services had to be balanced with the commensurate purchasing power. Otherwise, the system would collapse. That is how some economists, like Maynard Keynes, came up with the socialist idea of the welfare state, where the state would give free money to the citizens to enable them to buy the products of the capitalist factories. By that hybridization, the challenge to capitalism of the disequilibrium between the productive capacity of capitalism and the aggregate demand of the market was transcended. Countries like China have further pushed forward the strategy of market socialism. As a consequence of this hybridization, the world has seen greater prosperity than in 1929, when capitalism faced the challenge of the disequilibrium between production and consumption. I am quoting this example so as to advise members of the Commonwealth using one of our proverbs. It says, "Oyo razona tomanyera hije." The translation is, when the dog puppies are young, you should feed all of them equally, because you don't know which one will be a better hunter when they grow up. It is wiser for the world leaders to respect the internal systems of each country and influence others by example. It says in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 15 to 16, in quotes, let your light so shine before men that they see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. If our practices are correct, they will thrive and spread. If they are wrong, they will collapse. It is not necessary to generate crisis on account of differences in ideology. Let there be peaceful competition among different ideas. The right one will emerge. When Karl Marx wrote his Communist Manifesto in 1848, there was not a single socialist country in the world. However, he pointed out that, in quotes, socialism was in the womb of capitalism. In 1917, a socialist communist revolution took place in the Soviet Union. In 1949, in China. In 1959, in Cuba. In the 1930s and thereafter, the capitalist societies of Western Europe borrowed the socialist tools of the welfare state, where free money was given by the state to lubricate the wheels of capitalism by bolstering the purchasing power of society. As members of the Commonwealth, we all share the principles of democracy according to the principles of the Harare Declaration on Democracy of October 1991. Nevertheless, the forms of democracy, as the Secretary General was saying, the Acting Secretary General was saying, are also different, although the substance must be the same. One person, one vote by secret ballot at regular intervals. Those are the principles of the Commonwealth. How then should the Commonwealth members deal with other countries that are not members of the Commonwealth and who may have different social and political systems? Communist, Islamicist. How should we deal with those? My advice is what I have already said above. Let our light so shine before men that they see our good deeds and praise our Father who is in heaven. We should not create crises in attempts to coerce those people that have different ideas to be like us. The Bahrain blockade of June 1948 to May 1949, the Korean War, the war in Vietnam, the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, the Hungarian uprising of 1956 and its crushing by Soviet forces, the Czechoslovak uprising of 1968 and its crushing by the Soviet forces, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan of 1979, and the counter-intervention by the Western countries by supporting the Mujahideen, the proxy wars in Angola, etc., led to a lot of wastage of resources and life. Many of them ended with unintended consequences. Yet, we have seen bad systems collapsing by their own dynamics without external pressure. The collapse of the Shah of Iran. There was no war. The Shah just collapsed. The collapse of the Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie. The collapse of the communist system of Eastern Europe, etc., were not caused by wars from outside, but by internal weaknesses. When capitalism was challenging feudalism, one of the European leaders, Metternich, I don't know how they pronounce him, tried to use war, if I remember right, but ended up bringing ruin to Austria-Hungary. On the other hand, we can see today that China is still a communist country with a governance system different from the one we use in the Commonwealth countries. The countries of the world, by working peacefully with China, our social and political systems being different notwithstanding, have done a lot of good to China and to the world. I have quoted these historical examples because I have noticed absence of serious scrutiny of historical phenomena and learning from them. Recently, I met a British lady in South Africa, and she said that she was heading an OECD think tank. OECD. I don't know which countries those are. I joked with her by asking, how can we have no thinking with so many think tanks in the world? Because there's no thinking. And yet the think tanks are many. I invited her to come to Uganda and see whether we can jointly attempt to think. We had the Commonwealth think tank in London, the Smart Partnership Hub, led by Dr. Mihaela Smith. It did not get enough support from the Commonwealth. Uganda and Malaysia struggled to support the hub alone. I have not got the latest on that effort. In conclusion, therefore, my view is that the Commonwealth countries, in substance, are democratic countries, albeit with variations in form. And this is a great achievement. Secondly, the Commonwealth countries could use their numbers, because we are many, 2.5 billion, that's almost 1/3 of humanity. That's almost 1/3 of humanity. Could use their numbers, and of course the Ugandans are contributing to that numbers very, very aggressively. Secondly, the Commonwealth countries could use their numbers to mutually promote investments work together on security, work on cultural exchanges, and also examine the options on trade without disturbing the CFTA arrangements in Africa. Thirdly, peacefully work with all countries of the world, irrespective of their internal social systems, for the mutual advantage and on the basis of respecting the sovereignty of each country. Fourthly, promote the spread of the benefits of scientific innovation because, like in all ages, the advances in science and technology have always been the primers of change in society for good or for evil. But this time, insisting that those advances in science and technology are only for good and never for evil. Fifthly, the protection of the environment must remain not only a core point of our commitment, but also a basis of our agreed point of action, of our agreed joint action. The oppression of man by nature can be solved by the use of science through the whole world, throughout the whole world. The oppression of man by man is always better resolved by the affected communities, in some extreme cases, supported by appropriate external solidarity. This is what we did with apartheid and with colonialism. I thank you. It is now my honor to open the conference and to wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency the President. Indeed, it's been a very powerful address. Let me very quickly now invite the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament of Kenya to deliver a vote of thanks to our chief guest for that wonderful address. The Right Honorable.
Your Excellency, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda and the Vice Patron of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, the President of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, designate the Right Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, the Chairperson of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Executive Committee, Right Honorable Emilia Mojoa Lifaka, fellow speakers here present, the newly elected Chairperson of the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians, the Honorable Shandana Khan from Pakistan, honored members, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all the delegates and observers attending the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, and all gathered here together, and indeed on my own behalf, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to His Excellency, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for indeed, among others, availing time from your busy schedule to come and share with us your great experience and insight on the involvement, not just of the Commonwealth, Parliamentary Association and the Commonwealth indeed in general, but also of mankind. Congratulations, Your Excellency. I would also wish to express profound gratitude to the Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, the Right Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, for hosting this conference. I'm particularly impressed by the warm hospitality already extended to us from the day we arrived and throughout our stay here in Uganda. And I must say, from a personal note, Your Excellency, this has been quite different from my earlier experiences. Like I was telling the Honorable Kadaga, when I used to sneak in here from Bungoma when I was a young magistrate to come and enjoy the fruits from the Pearl of Africa many years ago. But of course, Your Excellency, that is many years according to me. What you said is current affairs. I thank the Right Honorable Kadaga and her team, indeed the Secretariat of the Parliament of Uganda, many of my good friends who have worked tirelessly to ensure that everything goes on smoothly. I extend thanks also to the Secretariat of the CPA in London for availing logistical assistance to the host branch. But Your Excellency, I cannot fail to recognize the fact that all this would not have been possible without the support of your government and of the very hospitable people of Uganda. I thank all of you and wish this conference great success. Thank you very much.
Hello. I forgot to thank the organizers for finally receiving my advice. Because whenever we come here, these organizers in Uganda are normally anti-fresh air. They normally close the tent and then they introduce artificial air conditioning. And when I come, I quarrel. But now they have done it the right way by opening the flaps and the breeze coming in from the lake. I really thank you now. Finally, you have done it right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Distinguished guests, now that we are coming to the close of our opening ceremony, allow me to make one or two announcements. We shall be going for the group photo session, and we shall have it in a specific order. We're going to invite His Excellency the President to kindly join the teams as follows. We shall have one photograph with the Executive Committee. We shall have another one with speakers of national assemblies and leaders of delegations. Then we shall invite the women under the umbrella of the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians to join His Excellency for a photo. And then we shall have the regional groupings in this order: India, Southeast Asia, Asia, Canada, CAA, Caribbean, American, and Atlantic, BIM, British Islands and Mediterranean, Australia, Pacific, and Africa. Secondly, I wish to give you two reminders. One, for the state dinner tomorrow. His Excellency has graciously allowed that guests will come to State House and have dinner with him. So we shall ask the protocol officers to give you more detail so that we can attend the dinner tomorrow in specific order. Now, the Right Honorable Speaker has also invited all delegates to dinner tonight. Transport is going to be from your respective hotels at 7 p.m. Transport from Munyonyo to your respective hotels is going to be 1 hour after lunch begins to allow you to go and freshen up and then come for dinner at 7 p.m. After that, allow me now to thank you for your kind attention and ask that we follow the order for the group photos. So, Excellency, we would like to invite you to come and join us for the photos near the lakeside. Could we start with the executive committee members? Could you please come and join us for the group photo? A reminder about the workshops that are going on later in the afternoon. Those will be as scheduled in your booklets. Even as the executive committee forms the photos, can I ask the speakers and leaders of delegations to be prepared for the next photo? Speakers and leaders of delegations to kindly wait until you're ushered in for the next photo. Finishes the photo with the leaders of delegations. Can we have the women? Could we have the women join His Excellency for the next photo?
And this Uganda is actually hosting it for the second time, which is a very big milestone to Uganda. The other African countries that have also hosted this particular conference are Kenya, Tanzania, Cameroon, Zimbabwe, Malawi, the Mauritius, and of course not many of those that have managed to host this. And Kenya has done it 3 times. Uganda is doing it twice. South Africa has also done it twice or 3 times, and it's really an honor for Uganda to do it. Well, as you can see, the President of Uganda, Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, of course, having a group photo with the different delegates from the different countries that are participating here. It's a group photograph, very memorable for them. For you cannot tell when Uganda will again host this event, and who next time will actually be here in Uganda for the same. But as you can see, here is where they are. Let me also have an opportunity here to talk to Honorable Paul Amoru, the head of publicity for this particular event. Yes, Honorable. How has this thing been as the head of publicity and, of course, communications? What would you tell the public and the world what this actually has been? Is it a success, or you feel that certain things that are not going as planned?
Well, this has been a great and grand success. We are very proud that the attendance has been overwhelming. All the delegations that we expected to be here are here. The President of the Republic of Uganda has been here. He has delivered an amazing speech focusing on Pan-Africanism and how the different blocks, political blocks, social systems can interface without interference, but generate common areas that can advance the cause of mankind. And we had great performances from different cultural groups in Uganda here. And I can say this has been amazing and historic.
This is an annual event that happens every other year. It last happened in 2017. It didn't happen last year. Could you be knowing the reasons why it actually didn't take place last year from when it happened in Dhaka, in Bangladesh, I think?
Yes, the host country that should have had an incident of terrorism. There was a terror attack. And so we had to skip, but the Secretariat in London had a mini conference which helped to organize and confirm also the conference here in Kampala. So that was the hiccup that was...
What are we proud of by organizing this particular event? We as Ugandans, for example, and the Parliament of Uganda.
Yeah, first of all, this is a gesture of confidence in Uganda, and to be able to even receive the number of delegates that we have received, record-breaking, that most conferences have not experienced, is that people are interested in visiting the Pearl of Africa as a beautiful country, as a country endowed with so much beauty, so much resources. And so, having hosted this 52 years ago, I think the nostalgia of the past, the flashbacks we have had. You saw we even had a reprint of the Uganda August of 1967. So all of this has enabled us to reflect on how far we have come, what journey we have had over the years, what challenges we still continue to face, and how we can interact with the rest of the members of the Commonwealth to have a redress to some of the pending challenges that we have in address. But also, we are now looking forward to the benefits that will accrue out of this. There has been the immediate ones, the spendings that have happened, and the publicity that we have got. But long term, the resolutions that will come out of this conference, and with Uganda at the steering wheel, since our speaker is now the president of CPA, we are going to be able to lead the world within the Commonwealth family, but also attract much more visitors in tourism sector, attract investment. You saw the chairperson of the CPA, who is the speaker of the Cameroon Parliament, the deputy speaker, promised to be honorary ambassadors for the country, and this is a commitment that the delegates have made. So we are very proud as Uganda.
Thank you so much, Honorable Paul.
And we want to thank the media. I want to thank UBC, the rest of the media, for coming together. We are all Ugandans, and we are showing the rest of the world what we have got and that we welcome. more visitors to come.
Thank you, Honorable Paul Amoru. He's heading the media and the publicity department of this particular Commonwealth meeting that is happening here in Kampala this year, as you can see, just on the shores of Lake Victoria here at the Speaker Resort Munyonyo. One of those areas in Africa that we can say are very good for this particular event. As you can continue to see from the background just right there, is that the photo moments are still carrying on. His Excellency the President, who now is also the Deputy Patron. Remember, the Queen of England, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, is the patron of the Commonwealth, and the country that hosts, of course, becomes the designate lead country. And of course, our own speaker here, Rebecca Kadaga Alitwala, is now the designate president of the Commonwealth for the next year, as we wait to see again who hosts this event next year. Uganda is having an opportunity, of course, to do it the second time from when they did it in 1967, which was the 13th. And like I said, the only countries in Africa, of course, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, have had the opportunities of hosting this event. Not so many African countries have actually had an opportunity. Now, here is my other guest, live on UBC TV. A very good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. How do you feel being here in Uganda and, of course, being part of the CPA that is in Uganda after 52 years?
I'm absolutely delighted. I think it's a wonderful conference. It's a beautiful country, and everyone is so friendly and so welcoming.
The last time it was here in 1967, where could you have been?
I wasn't born yet, but my parents were over the border in Kenya. So it's wonderful to come to the African continent because I have never been, but I have a family connection.
Okay. Had you been to Uganda before? You come to Uganda for the first time because of this meeting?
I'm sorry?
Had you been to Uganda before? You're coming to Uganda for the first time?
No, very first time. And I've come all the way from Guernsey in the Channel Islands, which is part of the British Isles.
Okay. Well, that's very important. In such meetings, people tend to think these are boardroom meetings for the delegates like yourselves to possibly receive per diem and do these conferences that maybe do not trickle down to the common person. Do you think the common people, we talk about 2.5 billion people in the Commonwealth countries, do they benefit from these conferences?
Yeah, absolutely, because sharing our experiences as parliamentarians, sharing our knowledge and our practice means that we can take that back to our individual countries and we can then cascade that down. Also, I get the chance to meet people in other countries and share their experiences. I've been speaking to people in Kampala, I've been speaking to many ladies, to children, to know about the challenges that you face and share the challenges that we face.
Okay, that's very good. Have you toured Uganda? Have you been around? We've seen some of you go to Kagulu Hill, we've seen some of you go to the Equator. Where have you been in Uganda for the days that you've been here?
I went to Kampala. I visited a charity school that helps orphans, and we had an amazing time and met lots of lovely people.
Is it lovely?
It is beautiful in Kampala, but we realise that you face challenges and that we can do more where we come from because we have more prosperity to be able to help some people over here.
Well, I think that's very good news to hear from you, and I could say that welcome to Uganda.
Thank you. It's lovely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and of course for being with us live here on UBC TV, where we are part of the CPA that has been officially opened and launched this day by His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the Deputy Patron of the CPA that we do, brings together all the Commonwealth countries. This time around, 50 of them, and having, of course, a delegation of over 800 people who are just right here at the Speaker Resort in Munyonyo. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, has delivered a very hearty speech that you heard from him there. Of course, talking about how we can harness and, of course, use these mighty numbers of now all the Commonwealth countries. Remember, he keeps talking about these things, especially when he talks about our region, the East African region. When you talk about Uganda in isolation, you just talk about 40 million people. But when you talk about the region of East Africa, that brings us to close to 170 million people. Now we're talking about almost a quarter or a third of the world's population in just the Commonwealth countries. Now this is one of those strengths that we need to harness and, of course, utilize and use, as you can see. It's happening here, and just like I said, when when it happened in 1967, like the president said, it was more about Rhodesia, which is the current day Zimbabwe. Now, in 1980, Zimbabwe got independence, and they had an opportunity to host this meeting 10 years after their independence in 1990. That time when President Comrade Gabriel Robert Mugabe was the president of Zimbabwe. And of course, Kenya had an opportunity to host it a number of times, I think 3 times. And of course, Uganda took it over from Canada that hosted the 12th edition of the same. Here is what exactly we are today. Being part of what is happening here, and of course to thank you so much for being part of the broadcast that is happening live here on UBC TV, as we belong to or be part of the official opening.